Good morning. Good morning. This is Spirit Journey, and today is Saturday. It's good old Saturday morning. It's a little after 5 a.m. in the morning. I'm looking outside my window as I'm lying in bed. How beautiful it is. I usually have the curtains down, but today I have the curtains up. Sometimes you forget what it looks like outside. It's absolutely beautiful. The lights of the tall buildings and everything. I've been awake now for a while. I had awakened early in the morning. I had fallen asleep while I was watching a movie. And since I didn't see the ending because I fell asleep, I said, let me just watch it. I was actually watching the movie The Equalizer with Denzel Washington. Very entertaining, but very intense. I felt the movie in my chest. It was a heavy movie. Very, very heavy. So what I want to talk about regarding this movie, The Equalizer. There is an Equalizer 2, and that one I actually saw in the movie theater when it came out. I didn't even know about the movie when I saw The Equalizer 2, So what do I feel about this? Well, as I say, I feel heaviness on my heart throughout the whole movie. A sadness. And you think about it, when look at that movie, what do you really see about that movie? Hierarchy, philosophy. The protagonist in the movie, played by Denzel Washington, he comes across like a philosopher, a teacher, a humble man. And you discover later on in the movie that, he's he has a past. And like he wants to atone for his past mistakes. See, it is honorable for someone to know that they had a past and that they weren't, the best of people. But isn't this all about evolving to improve oneself? Not about arrogance, but we all could improve ourselves. And so on that aspect of the movie, I could relate to that I'm not a perfect human being. I never killed anybody or in that type of activity, that type of arena. I lived pretty much a modest life. And the character in the movie, played by Denzel, he's playing someone like you're watching the after effect. His prior life was turned around. And he lived a very modest life. He was a night owl. He had his regular day job. He was a man of order and discipline. And I think that appeals to me. He's living, like myself, a modest life. I'm not near as orderly as he is. I think when I was younger, I was more orderly, more deliberate in the things I do, to be organized in my life as a means of guiding my life. So that aspect of the movie I really did identify with. The sadness about the movie comes about that in his humble life, the character, he witnesses a lot of things. He's witnessing, he's the observer of things around him. And like my life, I see things around me. But what's different about me and the character, see, he understands that other life. He understands what he sees, even though he's living a very modest, secluded life, some socialization. He's social on the job. He's well respected by people. But it shows that he has his dark side, this side that most people don't know, and maybe a side of him that he doesn't really want people to know about. And that's okay. So with me, I'm not from his world, the character's world, that deep world. But I'm looking and I see things in my vision, things how that I don't quite understand. I always ask myself the why. Why is this? Why is that? It's like an amnesia, and you just waking up, and so you don't have the deep insights like the character in the movie played by Denzel Washington. See, Denzel understands everything. But me, I'm just really starting out and becoming awakened that life isn't what it looks like. I too am procuring a lot of books, my own personal library. I started on that in 2015, and now it is, oh, I forgot to give the date. Yeah, I think I forgot the date. It's Saturday now, Saturday morning, and it's November 9, 2019. So, so from 2015, I started collecting books, or buying and purchasing books, because I realized there's things I don't know. And at the same time, that it's very hard to really examine things. Because when you're asleep and then when you awaken and the light is on, it kind of stings your eyes, the light, the bright light. Even the dimmest of light can hurt the eyes when you're in this state, when you've been blinded for so long. I was blinded about the system. And the movie that I just watched reminded me that life has many dimensions. There's the big world, the surface world that you see, like I'm looking at the building, the tall, tall buildings, some old, some new, and there's change. And behind those buildings, each one of those buildings has a story, and it has people in it. And the people have their stories about the lives that they live. And just like these tall, tall buildings, I live in a major city, in New York City, skyscrapers. And you know, each one of those buildings, you notice with buildings, especially in big cities like New York City, you notice that each one of these buildings, it's tall and narrow, Each one of these buildings is a power structure, a phallic symbol, the male energy. Yeah. And like the movie that I just saw, The Equalizer, that whole movie had a masculine energy. And in that movie, excuse me, and in that movie, a woman activated the male energy. See, he used to be married. And evidently, he left his old world, but he had a sacrifice to get that neutrality / equalizer. He was in a bad, bad world. And for him, he wanted to stop, evidently. And so he had to orchestrate his own death and leave everything behind. That was the price he had to pay. But in the movie, one of the characters, a young woman, and there's a dialogue between the two. You gather from it, the dialogue, that they've talked a little bit. They don't really know each other. They're just acquaintances. They're at a diner, a 24/7 diner, and he reads books. And the young lady is a prostitute. And in one of their brief dialogues that they have, she says to him, "Oh, well, how old are you?" And then he replies, "Well, how old are you?" And she says, "Does it really matter?" And I thought that dialogue was really interesting because, see, she initiated about the age. And he's easily over 50 years of age, to be polite. And as for her, because of her response, I gather that she might be underaged, under 18 of age. And so that's illegal. But you know, in many of these movies, when they have prostitutes, all the females are underage, basically. They're teenagers. But in modern day, you have the Jeffrey Epstein, who had teenage girls working for him. But they say now, in the social climate of today, that what he's doing is sex trafficking minors, and it is, what do you call it, what do you call it? Oh, how could I forget that term? That it's illicit, oh, brother, I don't know why I can't remember the term. Pedophilia, that's the term. When you have sex with children, it's pedophilia. Why is it pedophilia now? Which it is, and it's an evil. But then in major Hollywood and in the life today, in general, they don't call it pedophilia, but prostitution. And the girls are treated as adults and not children. It was just something that I noticed. And this video is not about that, about what something is called or not called, but it's just an observation upon watching the movie. But again, that male energy in the movie lifted its head when the girl gets beat up terribly. And she's a Russian girl, at least she's speaking Russian. And he takes it upon himself to equalize the girl's beating. And when the person that he approached, he approached in a respectful way. He's dishonored verbally. And then he takes it in his own hands to equalize further. And a lot of bloodshed was spilled in the process. For him to just do that one initial thing in protecting that young female, most likely a teenager, and she pays her lumps. He intercedes because he wants to help her elevate in life. So it could the matter could have been fixed at a base level, but the men in question said no. Now, it could have. It was just one woman. He wasn't asking for all the women to be released of her contract, so to speak. And he paid for it. He was willing to pay for what it cost. And they claimed that they were insulted. So he offered them $9,800, I think it was. But the men are saying, you insult us, you only give us $9,000. They kept repeating that. And it wasn't that. It was almost $10,000 for the girl. So the male energy spiked its head. And it kept on and kept on perpetuating. A lot of blood spilled in that movie. And it didn't need to. And it's just about like human nature, that a lot of things just escalate. And why does it escalate? Why does it have to go that far? The movie showed me that there are different hierarchies, as I mentioned earlier. Different levels of society. Some things you will never be exposed to. Like here, I'm looking outside my window, and each one of those buildings is a phallic symbol. Something that reaches the sky. And you know, basically they're all about the same height. Basically, they have like a level to it. And of course, you have many, many, many that are below eye level that I could see. But these represent the different factions. They stand side by side, and they're standing strong and tall. And each of them know about, or should know about, territory. See, everything's about, even though it's close, they're standing close together, these buildings. But there is an order and a discipline and definitive boundaries. And when these boundaries are violated in any way, that's when another ugly head of the phallic symbol can be activated. And then blood is spilled. You will never really know about those higher levels. I'll probably never be invited to the top of those buildings. And most likely, the head of that building will probably have the top floor. And what business they have on that top floor, I'd probably never be privy to. The only level that I would probably have, in general, is the base, the ground level. My going into a lobby, leaving a lobby, or maybe a place to eat, a diner or something. But there are different levels that I see of these buildings. The building could be a short one or a very, very tall one. And each one has its own level and own experience at each of those different levels I see. But you touch the wrong level. You get out of sync, or you get off the wrong floor and you offend somebody, you're going to deal with the consequences. So I guess so is life. So, you go in and out of a lobby, you go in and out of maybe a restaurant, a diner, and you experience all different things. And even in those things, you may bump into someone, you may, offend. I was in the subway, and that has its own territory, the underground, and it has its own rules, regulations, boundaries. Some boundaries are accidentally crossed, and some are deliberate. And consequences happen with each one of them. I see that mistakes might have been made, like, let's say you walk and you accidentally step on someone's foot. Or let's say you're looking and staring too hard at somebody. And like I was noticing the other day, these earrings on somebody. And I wasn't trying to stare down someone. But that person had boundaries. And I saw that she was offended. Sometimes, you have to just say, oh, those are, you have to talk loud enough. Hey, those are nice earrings, or, that was a nice hat, or, something. Let them know you're not there to cross boundaries. So it reminded me, because she was feeling uncomfortable and got offended, that you have to be reminded that everyone has boundaries, even someone's innocent intentions or whatever, just maybe noticing something on someone, that you have to remember, even when you're standing or sitting, you have to be mindful and not violate someone's boundaries. And I see that life is about boundaries. And some boundaries are very sensitive. And so it reminded me, sometimes you have to just look forward, just maybe look at the advertisement or something. Life has its boundaries. And so when you're in a new environment, because I'm hardly in the subway, I walk everywhere, but this time I had to use the subway, and sometimes you forget the rules. And so life is about rules. And you start to wonder, with these rules, who sets these rules and regulations? And in this movie, The Equalizer, that with these hierarchies, there are rules, there may be sub-rules and rules on top of rules. And we're reminded we're not to step out of line. and that there's always someone watching. There's so many levels to things, like an onion. And you start to wonder, who's the top in all this? The building that I'm in now, right now. Who's the top in all this? And certain things, like when I first entered this building, and some of the paperwork, there's some things that didn't make sense, that were reminding me that, like in the movie, that you gotta pay. You can have an honest business, but you always have to pay somebody else. There's a surface rule, and then you have to pay to play. And that maybe what's happening at times, I have to pay to play tenant, landlord. And you know I hate it. I hate the feeling of what they call the pay to play. Because you thought, you made an agreement when you sign a lease. Or let's say you start a business, a company, and you dot your I's and you cross your T's. And then someone else comes and there's another game to play. It makes you feel anger, violated. And like in the movie The Equalizer, there was a violation that sometimes innocent people are violated. You work in a restaurant, and then someone comes by, and they're saying that they're the king of your domain, that you started out from the bottom up. And you really don't have you don't have the power to withstand them. You don't have that power. So either you pay or you cannot play. And so in life, that's what it might be. Like a little fish gets swallowed by a bigger fish, which gets swallowed by another even bigger fish. That's what it looks like, what life is all about. The different levels and the different pay to play. And so like in this movie, here, a young girl, probably a teenager, and she's playing by the rules that she knows. But sometimes that's not enough. You play all the rules, you play by the rules, and still someone just wants to come in and agitate. And sometimes that's what life is all about. That people just want to come in and remind you that they're bigger and stronger. But what goes around comes around. There's so many hierarchies, but someone is always seeing. See, there's always cameras around. And so you do have that big fish, and they come around, agitate, but there's always someone watching. Always, like you notice with buildings, you know that each window is like an eye. It's an eye. And you notice with the eye has light. And those lights represent vision. And they can see and watch outside. Yeah. They're watching out, but you can also look in. See, that light makes it visible, and it goes both ways. So in the darkness, the light shining out of the building, it's those that are outside that can look in. And then in the daytime, it's the reverse. So you have the daytime and the nighttime, and there are rules that play in each one. And so it's just a matter of playing chess. You know what else that movie talked about? In the very beginning, it had a quote by Mark Twain, the American writer. He lived in the 1800s. I'm not sure exactly when, but he talked about the times of, I think it might have been the ending of slavery in the United States of America. Famous writer. And his quote was this, something like this. It said, "There's two most important days in your life: the day that you're born and the day that you discover why you live." Something like that. And I thought that was very profound. So yeah, I was born, and I know when I was born, and right now I'm trying to discover what my purpose is. So I think that is an extremely big question, and I'm trying to discover the whys that I'm here. And along the way, I see that there are different levels of awareness, different domains, different levels, and again, that phallic symbol of power that exists all over these big cities. And a reminder of that big, that phallic symbol in the movie, The Equalizer, and that there's always someone watching. So I go through this life and navigating, and so many weird things that occur in my life. So I guess I'm reminded that that unseen eye that is watching us every day, and the blood that is being spilled daily, like that movie. See, a lot of things happen behind the scenes, and you may not see that blood being spilled. I wonder how much blood was spilled because of me, or what blood that I'm spilling. Everything that we do in life, there's a reaction. Everything, no matter how simple it is. What price did someone have to pay for me? And what price do I have to pay? And am I paying that life now? And am I paying for it right now? When would the payment be complete? Maybe this is what life and death, living on this planet is all about. We're born into a system, and all of us have assignments. What that assignment is, I don't know. But I think part of it is like that man, the Equalizer, that I live basically a very modest life. I do like nice things, but I see that, like that philosopher in that movie, The Equalizer, that, there's a balance in life, and I'm learning how to balance my life and learning that there's rules, and, there's a time to stop being naive and coming into full fruition, full maturity, so I can be fully functional to navigate, to watch over things, to place a positive mark on this life. See, that blood is always being spilled. And you know that there's things that are eating this blood. You know, blood is energy. Blood is the life force. And that's what this movie is showing me. That anything you do, there is a price to pay energetically. Energetically, you know, your dollar bills, and in extreme situations, blood. This is really something. What is our purpose in life? And how much are you're willing to sacrifice of yourself? We have a purpose. And what is my purpose? And am I willing to do certain things, to equalize things, to equalize my footprint in this world system? Yeah, there's a footprint in this world system, all right. We're contained. We're living in this bubble system. And their rules. And sometimes they throw in new rules to this game. Yeah, this is it's like a pressure cooker. And it's bubbling. And it's trapped. And sometimes that lid, like in the pressure cooker, it starts to shake violently. And sometimes you have to let a little bit of the gas out. Then it goes to an equilibrium. And then it's agitated again. And you got to let the valve up a little bit. So I see that's what's happening. That's what's happening. I hope one day I come to that fruition, that maturity, and that it'd be a fantastic learning lesson. And I hope that I don't have to ever come back here again. I hope that I complete my job, my task, to completion, and that I leave this world with a clean footprint. Yes. Yeah. That's what it's all about. Leaving a clean footprint, and that the powers at large that are really controlling the system, and as I made mention in past audios that I haven't uploaded yet, the Archon footprint that is working behind the scenes, and maybe some of us are placed here to be a neutralizer, to neutralize the effect of the Archons that are living here, spilling a lot of blood and causing havoc. Yeah. So I guess this is also a shout out to those people who are equalizers in this world system, who want to neutralize the effect of these Archons. So keep your chin up, keep moving up, and try to live in gratitude. I thank you, universe, for teaching me. Have a peaceful and wonderful day. And those of you who like this content, if you may wish to donate to my PayPal me account, you can go to my channel, Spirit Journey, and on the top right of the banner, you see my PayPal Me link. You just click on it, follow the prompts, and enter any amount that your heart sees fit to donate to me. It's much appreciated. And you could share this video with friends and family members that you think will appreciate this content. And you can comment below. And lastly, please give me the thumbs up. Peace, love to you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.